is going on, YouTube? What is going on, Kansas City? And what is going on, everybody? And welcome to the Beat of KC. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Lucas Murphy, and I have the pleasure of bringing you once again, which will continuously happen throughout the season, as we've talked about multiple times, Michael Darcy from the KC Sports Report. My good friend, what's up?
I'm doing fantastic, my friend. We just got through a very nerve-wracking week. A lot of people thought going into this Ravens-Chiefs game that the Chiefs were potentially going to lose. I might be included in that. But they were able to escape, moved to 2-2. And, I mean, Lucas, the air just feels better. Like, the sun's shining, the birds are chirping. Like, it is. I'm so happy to be 2-2. And I didn't think that I would be saying that back in July.
Man, and that's kind of a great segue, too, because, I was really kind of diving back into, I went back a few weeks, and I was kind of reviewing kind of the takes on people talking about the initial suspension news of Rashee Rice and a lot of, like, record predictions. And obviously that transpired before we even lost Xavier Worthy. But even then, a lot of people were saying, like, without Rashee Rice, it would be phenomenal if we came out to where we're at right now, 2-2. And I mean, here we are. So it's pretty cool to kind of see some of that. A lot of people predicted 3-1. I was kind of leaning more towards that because I truly felt like we could have got the Chargers in Brazil, but clearly it was a game plan issue. And I mean, I think morale really went down when Xavier Worthy went out. But yeah, that kind of leads us to where we're headed to this week against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And to be honest with you, I've kind of been doing some comparing, really looking at rosters, kind of just trying to figure things out. And that kind of leads me to my first question. Obviously, we do have a healthy Xavier Worthy. We saw what he did in contribution-wise on the offense against the Baltimore Ravens. And really, as we're starting to get guys back, their roles are kind of starting to fit into how they run this offense. It's almost like Andy Reid kind of designs with Matt Nagy, Patrick Mahomes, and really these rooms. They go down and they start to break out. Okay, let's focus on this area because their defense might be displaying this or whatever it may be. So my question to you is, obviously Xavier Worthy again was highlighted in the Ravens. Which player do you think that they might really target or look to maybe shine against the Jacksonville Jaguars this coming week?
I know the Jags are probably going to try to take away Xavier Worthy. I wouldn't change the game plan. Like, I would still make him the focal point of the offense. And, if they try to take him away, Tyquan Thornton is going to be running a lot of the same routes, and he's going to be open downfield. I think trying to attack Jacksonville deep will allow Kelsey to find room underneath. And, I think, Juju Smith-Schuster had a hell of a game against the Ravens that no one else is really talking about. Hollywood Brown did, in spurts as well. So I feel like Xavier Worthy coming back is more than just a singular player. When you take into account his impact and his route tree and what changes when he's on the field, it puts guys back into their positions. And so you get the best out of a Juju Smith-Schuster and a Hollywood Brown. And so I think maybe Juju is the guy they look at. I mean, I'd love it to be Jalen Royals. Hopefully he gets more, run in this game. But I think that they're going to target Xavier Worthy, but if he's not open, it could be the Tyquan Thornton show.
Sure. I 100% agree, and I'm going to kind of take it a little further. I have a weird inclination. I kind of had this same kind of feeling with Isaiah Pacheco heading into the Giants game. And although he didn't really, go off, we did kind of see a little bit of, I don't want to say a resurgence, but we were seeing a little bit better performance from him. We did see a touchdown this last week from him, and now it wasn't a rushing touchdown, but at least he was able to find the end zone with a pass. My go-to guy this week that I think is really going to maybe shine a little bit is Travis Kelce. And the reason I say that is just because this Jacksonville defense has kind of had a little bit of turnover, and I'm curious to see which linebacker or safety they may stick on Travis Kelce. And I think that if they start to target Travis Kelce a little early, it's going to really kind of open the door for Xavier Worthy and Tyquan Thornton to match with what you were saying. And so I'll be curious to see if maybe he is the focal point of this offense. Maybe not necessarily the entire game, but just to really kind of kick things off, maybe kick the top off and really let this offense start to do what they did last week. Now, my next question to you, Darcy, is obviously kind of, again, just doing some research because obviously the Jacksonville Jaguars play in the AFC South. And if you really ask, if you kind of polled and put surveys out there, people would say the AFC South is probably one of the weaker divisions in the AFC. They're really, I think, even heading into the season, a lot of people picked Jacksonville. Some people picked, the Houston Texans. They're kind of struggling. But out of nowhere, the Colts are kind of having a good season. So really, it's kind of neck and neck, but at the same time, I would say they're lesser teams when it comes to the more top tier teams in the AFC. But on paper, if you really look at it statistically, these two teams that are matching up this week are pretty close in a lot of things. But that takes it a step further. We're talking statistics there. I think my question to you is do you really kind of buy into the stats that say that these two teams are relatively close when it comes to scoring, defense, offense? Or do you take it really kind of further onto the field and start looking at, okay, well, who's playing quarterback, who's playing running back, those types of things? So really kind of my question is are you taking it further and saying the Chiefs have the best quarterback in the NFL? They have one of the most dynamic wide receiver rooms now that Xavier Worthy's back. Do stats even really matter?
I think stats matter because, I mean, obviously you can't take the statistics at face value all the time because I think that we'd all be completely honest. And if you just look at who Jacksonville has beat, I mean, there's a reason why they're 3-1. I don't think Jacksonville's great. I mean, if you just look at some of the teams that they've beaten, I mean, yeah, they beat the Texans. That's, I mean, not really a good win right now. They're 1-3. So I feel like, yes, the Jags have gotten off to a good start, but look at their quality of opponent. And, you know, I think sometimes that can skew the metrics. And I think the Chiefs are going to come into this game. And I mean, if you just look, even if the metrics say otherwise, would you rather have the Chiefs defense or the Jags defense?
Right. And I'm taking the Chiefs 100% at the time.
Very easily.
Yeah. Yeah, and that kind of leads me to a little bit more of a question. And obviously, we have to reflect back on week one. It was just a miscue of game plan. Obviously, we really anticipated Amari Hampton, Najee Harris before obviously he blew out his Achilles, but they kind of had that two-headed monster in the backfield, so we really prepared for that. And it's like Harbaugh's like, hey, watch this. We're going to use Herbert. We're going to start slinging the rock, and kind of caught us off guard. I think really that first game, too, it was just testing the waters. We've really seen a resurgence in this defense in a lot of ways, man. I mean, the fact that we held Lamar Jackson the way we did, even really Jalen Hurts, man. I mean, Saquon Barkley really didn't go off. And so this defense continues to kind of progress in a positive way, and they're stepping up more and more. There's a lot of decent players on the offense for the Jaguars. If you're going to game plan for this, say you're Spags, and you're really going to game plan for this Jacksonville offense, who are you trying to eliminate? Is it Trevor Lawrence? Is it Etienne? Is it Thomas? I mean, who are you really going to focus on trying to just eliminate from this game?
Brian Thomas, it's Brian Thomas Jr., right?
Yeah.
Oh, man, he's a stud. In fact, I remember when he got drafted, we were covering the draft in Detroit, and he's a baller. He was a stud. When the Jags got him, I was like, okay, that's a guy that has number one wide receiver potential. And since he's been in Jacksonville, he's just been a monster. And part of that is because he was really the only pass catcher last year for Trevor Lawrence. And so, you know, they were able to kind of build that bond. If I'm Trent McDuffie, I'm on him. And I know that Travis Hunter is the popular name. He hasn't been bad, but he's also not someone that should command, you know, your number one respect right now. Brian Thomas is just better.
For sure. And, you know, I think, too, when you really look at it, and that's, you know, they went out and they got a ton of guys. Obviously, Liam Cohen comes in and kind of shakes things up. We obviously see them. You mentioned it. They take Travis Hunter. But then they lose a guy like Evan Ingram who goes to the Denver Broncos. We saw him, you know, play last night. And I really think that it's just kind of a change in dynamic. And Liam Cohen's kind of really creating some fire behind this team. My take is like, I feel like if we can, again, if we truly eliminate ETN, which I think is going to be challenging because he's a true dual threat. He's having a resurgence. There's a reason why they traded Tank Bigsby to the Eagles. You know, I think if we can stop ETN and we, again, apply this, not necessarily the exact same pressure that we applied on Lamar because we know his ability to get out and just run out of the pocket. But if you're really getting to Trevor Lawrence and you're forcing him to make decisions quickly, I feel like they're going to really kind of struggle in that. But statistically, and this takes me back again to the statistics, this is one of the better short pass game teams currently in the NFL. So I'm just curious on your thoughts on that. Like, are you all for getting to Trevor Lawrence and treating it similar to kind of that pass rush that we saw against Lamar Jackson? Or how are you kind of approaching really managing this offense that could potentially break some decent offensive plays off?
You know, I haven't dove into the numbers on Trevor Lawrence against the blitz. I mean, I can assume that it's probably not very great and that offensive line's not very good. So I would assume that, yeah, I mean, you should blitz him. But, you know, I'm almost going to be looking more at what the front four does because Part of the reason the Chiefs have been blitzing so much to begin the season is because George Karlaftis hasn't been great and Chris Jones hasn't been the same player. He's still been good, but he hasn't been the same dominant elite player right now. So since they haven't been getting a lot of pressure and guys like Mike Dana who've been hurt and Charles Omena who's been very up and down, I want to see this front four apply pressure, and I think that will give us a better, gauge of what happens, but they might have to end up blitzing him.
For sure. Yeah, and I'm interested in that. Now I'm gonna kind of adjust the questioning. Obviously, their defense is kind of dealing with some injuries. One of their more significant pass rushers in Trayvon Walker is dealing with a wrist injury, and he's questionable for this game. I mean, that's a significant blow if he can't play, or even if he's limited on a snap count. They really kind of talked about how it's serious this wrist injury could be. That then just only creates one pretty significant pass rusher. And it's always funny to say Josh Allen, even though we're not talking about the Bills quarterback. We're talking about Josh Allen, from the
Hines?
Jags. And I think
Like
he even
Josh Allen
hyphenated his,
Hines?
yeah, he hyphenated his name because he's like, look, man, I'm not that dude. But that would really kind of, solidify him on an island by himself and not really have that support on the other side. And I do believe that would put Josh Allen on our rookie left tackle in Josh Simmons. So I'll be curious to see how he kind of manages Josh Allen. What are your thoughts on that kind of matchup right there?
It's definitely a handful, but at the same time, I feel like Simmons has been tested a lot so far this season. Like the Giants' edge rushers are great. That's really the only thing they do well. The Eagles are never easy. The Chargers have some guys that can get out to the quarterback. So, I think Josh Simmons has been tested, and I actually think that, the matchup favors Simmons in this game.
For sure. And I think to kind of piggyback off that, I think this will be, and I don't want to make it sound like I'm underestimating this Jaguars team because I'm not. I think the Chiefs, the team in general has humbled us as fans because we always just expect our level of expectation for this team is always extremely high. I mean, ever since Patrick Mahomes has taken over behind the center, he's led us to greatness. And so we've been humbled a little bit, obviously, going against a few of these teams and really starting out 2-2. So I'm not going to underestimate any team, especially when we see the Giants take down the Chargers. I mean, the Chargers could have potentially been one of the hottest, if not the hottest team in the NFL. They go into a lesser opponent and, the coined phrase is always any given Sunday. And we have absolutely saw that last week. So I'm not underestimating. But again, we're seeing this offensive line take strides in a very positive way, similar to our defense. It's like they continuously get better. They're understanding the dynamics around them and they're figuring things out. I really think that this is going to be an easier challenge and more of a stepping stone or a way to kind of prepare for the Lions. I don't want to overlook the Jags. Again, I'm going to emphasize that I'm not looking over the Jags, but I think too, it's going to be a good prep game for you facing the Detroit Lions here in the next week after that. So my question is really kind of how do you feel about our offensive line, the current state of it, where we're playing, how we're playing? What are your thoughts on that?
I feel good about it. I mean, Kingsley Suamataia has allowed one pressure in the last 2 weeks, so he's actually been, making great strides. Josh Simmons, outside of a penalty here or there, has been as good as advertised. I mean, looking at, Trey Smith, I think has been battling some injuries that no one's really talking about, but he's been solid. And Jawan Taylor, for the first time in a long time, didn't have a penalty on Sunday. So hopefully that's also trending in the right direction. So right now I feel good about the Chiefs offensive line, and it's pretty hard not to after that performance against the Ravens.
Or hopefully Jawan Taylor's playing on a new level. I mean, he just recently proposed to his girlfriend. So hopefully that dude's on a high and he's not worrying about the yellow laundry hitting the field. He's more worried about preparing for a wedding. But my last question, you man, and it's always like my favorite question to ask heading into a matchup. And the reason is just because I think it's fun for the viewers to really kind of start getting these things in their mind. If you had to pick one player outside of Patrick Mahomes that's going to have that game against the Jacksonville Jaguars on either side of the football, who are you going with? And I know you mentioned earlier, you kind of mentioned a few guys, but who are you thinking is really going to have that standout that's going to be a game changer this week?
He's been relatively quiet. I'm going to say George Karlaftis. I'll go George Karlaftis on the defensive side of the ball. I think the offensive line of the Jags favors the Chiefs' defensive line. It almost seems like he has been on the cusp of having a big game. And you know what? I'm feeling generous. Let's give it to him.
Alrighty. I'm going to cheat.
Okay.
I didn't give you the opportunity to cheat, so I'm going to cheat. I'm going to do a 1A, 1B. My 1A, 100% is going to be Bashard Smith. I think he's getting more playing time. more opportunities. I think the dude is getting hungrier and hungrier the more he's getting on the field. I think he's going to break a big run or big catch off in this game, and he's going to be absolutely hyped. My 1B, and I'm going to continue to talk about this individual every single video until he really just proves me wrong, and that's Noel Williams. But we keep talking about him getting more playing time, more opportunities, and he's being challenged. I went through the list today. The guys that he's faced has been significant. I mean, he was going against Devonta Smith. He went against A.J. Brown against the Eagles. He paired up against one of the greatest of my generation, and really kind of your generation, and DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, the guy has been challenged game in, game out, and he's stepping up. Like, Pro Football Focus had him graded as the highest Chief against the Baltimore Ravens. I think he had a 91. I mean, it was incredible. I think that dude is going to continue to shine. You know, again, it's a significant drop off after Brian Thomas. There really isn't, a ton of those elite guys on this Jacksonville Jaguars offense from a receiver standpoint. So if McDuffie is covering him, Noel Williams may literally just shut down whoever he's facing. So I'll be excited to see that. I do have to correct because before for whatever reason, I kept saying he was from West Virginia. He actually played at Cal. So I do have to correct myself on that. I'll let everybody know that I went and did a little bit more research. He did play at Cal. So I apologize for misspeaking on him where he played at. But yeah, man, I'm super excited about Noel Williams, and everybody keeps saying, man, we might have found another one. Brad Veach is an absolute beast at getting secondary players. Darcy, I appreciate you coming on. I think that's going to be this video. Before we head on out, let everybody know where they can find you.
You guys can find me on YouTube at KC Sports Report. And if you have not done so already, hit that like button on this video and subscribe to Lucas.
Heck yeah. Let's get it going. Let's get it going. Everybody in the comment section, let me know what you're looking forward to in this Jacksonville Jaguars game. Well, how do you think the matchup's going to be? Do you think the Chiefs are going to have a blowout win again, or is it going to be come down to a possession and hopefully Butker hits a field goal? But let me know down in the comment section what you all think. I appreciate all the comments, and it's been awesome for sure. We end every video the exact same way, and I truly mean it every single time. Have a good day. Oh, it's frozen. There we go.